Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Kimberly Cloud Show. I'm your host, Kimberly Cloud. Today we are going to be in America's newsroom, looking at what they have to say about the Iran-Israel war, seeing if anything new pops up and what needs to be taken care of. So I can talk about Iran and our Israel. I know we keep talking about it, but this is part three. There's an update on it. There's an update every day, with Israel sitting up there getting hit, back and forth, back and forth. So let's take a look. Sorry, I'm hungry. Hi, Pam. Hold on, y'all. I haven't ate all morning. Um, wow. You don't string along Donald Trump. So who do you string along if you can't string along Donald Trump? No, I'm just kidding, man. I had to crack a joke. My heart goes out to the Israel people because they got to keep going back and forth between the bunkers and regular life. You know, it's it's sad, but Donald Trump's to a point where he's trying to reach people being safe. He wants people safe. And that's it. It doesn't matter what country. He wants them safe. He just wants them safe. What I don't get is why do some of these countries not butt in, even if it's Israel Iran war? Why don't they butt in and help Iran, seeing as though it's going to affect them too? It's going to affect them too. Think about it. If is Iran is able to take out Israel and the United States, then they're going to try to become a dictatorship and take out, and that's what I just keep saying over and over. Allegedly, they're going to take out whatever country is, you know, it's not good for them, and they yeah, it's going to be genocide. Oh, Obama's was having secret side deals because it's like that's what he just said. I don't want to get censored for saying that. That's what he just the Mark Pompeo, former secretary, he said Obama was cutting side deals with people. Wonder why that is. Because if a Republican come into presidency, they leave the mess on them to take care of. And then they go off and they start talking shit about them while they're trying to fix what they fucking ruined. Yeah, they bring in planes, man. What else? They bring in crack pipes. They bring in airplanes and stuff. They probably bring in crack pipes and stuff. I'm like, why are they bringing, like, China and Russia is funding this. And like I said, man, as soon as they get America, the plan was as soon as they got, and they're going to keep trying. They're going to keep trying as soon as they get America out the way and Israel, which is the two strongest countries right now. Um, they were going, I don't know what they were going to do. Because every time I predict what's going to happen, disinformation, misinformation. But we know what was going on. Told you they abandoned them. They were going to abandon them anyway. Just like I said, they were going to abandon them and straight get them. They were going to make them their non-ally. I put it to you like that. They weren't going to be an ally. I put it to you like that. They were going to be they were going to be slaves basically. Whoever is alive from what they were going to do to uh Iran. And Iran is just sitting up there like, oh, those are my friends, man. You know, they sending me airplanes. They're funding me. I'm not getting Russia isn't funding me. But they're funding me. But it's okay. Ha! Gavin Gruesome, you didn't win. We talking about winners over here. Winners, we popping winners. We popping winners. Yes, you lose. You lose. He said, I'm free. Yeah, you free because of the Biden administration, buddy. You're free because of the Biden administration. You're like, I am free. I'm a convicted murderer, but I'm free here. They don't know what to say no more. Oh my God. Don't you just love the appeals court? I need to figure out how I'm gonna write the Congress, like the main Congress, you know, Republican congressman or congresswoman. Seriously, because I already know I'm not going to get an answer. So yeah, appeals court. Yeah, baby. Yeah. I know that guy, his hair like flat as crap. You know how his hair be all in a swirled up Jazzy J. No, 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 no. What's their name? The Fairy Odd Parents. His hair be like the Fairy Odd Parents. I know it's all flat and like heavy metal now. And it's probably like, he's probably like, I'm on my way. Sort of like, the song Home Sweet Home. They probably like, his hair is probably all long and stuff. Mad as crap. He's like, no, and he using his shoulders like, no, this kid, because he was using his shoulders when he was in California. Yeah, well, he's from California, but I'm talking about when he was in California after the forest fire, the fires in California. He was just moving his shoulders back and forth. Yeah, I don't know, I don't know. His hair is probably long. He's probably mad. Took off his daggone his governor suit. Probably got rock and roll saying his shirt probably says, "Where's the beef at?" You know, or where's the illegals? Where's the illegals? Yeah. He is a master. No. Yeah, he's a master or first sergeant. First sergeant or master sergeant? First sergeant because he got the diamond in the middle. He got the diamond in the back, sun rooftop, digging in the scene with the gangster lean. He's not again. He's mad as crap right now. He is mad. Oh, how Gavin Newsom is mad, man. I kind of feel bad for the guy. He really think he gonna make some type of change. He felt good walking out of that court when he first got that decision saying that he shouldn't have the National Guard there. That was from a California judge. And now it's like he sat up there and the appeals, man, the appeals be winning. He be winning them appeals, man. It'd be like ding dong, ding dong. Why do we be pushed so much? Why do Republicans be pushed so much? We always getting pushed. Sort of like what I did my purse this morning. I sat up there and I had to hit the purse because I was halfway out the door and I noticed my purse was still in the house. I said, "Man, am I gonna have to rough house you?" That's what I told my Deco purse. Then I hit it. I hit it because it got chips in it, microchips, whatever you call them chips. Yeah, they got chips in the daggone card reader. So I'm like, am I gonna have to roughhouse you? You supposed to connect to my brain and let me remember when you are missing in action, man. Always giving us a hard time, man. When Biden was in office, it was smooth sailing. It was like, remember, you drink a glass of water and the sunlight comes in and it's windy outside. Make sure you calm down your tears. And Biden's like, yes, yes, I'll calm down my tears. And they sitting up there talking about, oh, Biden, sign this. Oh, don't worry, just sign everything for me. I'll be okay. I'm drinking this glass of water real quick. You see that hair? It's sort of like, very odd parents and stuff. It's a little lopsided right now. I can't talk, Mr. Newsom. How I wear wigs, but you, on the other hand, don't. And it's a little lopsided and it's like flat now. It's really flat and like wavy and wet. And he's like a rock band right now. He's mad as crap. He took off his shirt. You know how on Shrek 3 he was like, hand me my angry wig. He's like, hand me my angry gel. His wife like, you sure, baby? He's like, yes, hand me my angry gel. Oh, that ain't wrong. He's not a gang member and he's not an illegal. He's free. Just like the other one said, they're free. Come to Biden's territory and be free. He's like, I'm free. It's sad, but it's true, man. All jokes aside, man. But I don't understand why they keep allowing it. Shouldn't be a question about, convicted murderers, how they are on the bench line for murder, and yet they sit up there and they question whether to send them back or put them in a facility to be sent back. It's just tight, sad. He just got capped. He just got capped, y'all. He's like, I got capped. That's something new. The Democrats are like, what do we do? He said cap. well, we'll just play dumb like we usually are. It works for all of us. Obama like, yeah, it works well. Why do illegal immigrants seem to have lawyers on down, but I can't get a lawyer to save my ass? How come they be having lawyers on speed dial? How is that, man? They be like, call this, like they make sure they have lawyers, and it all starts with a lawyer. It's the chain of command. You got the public defender or the defender who defends the illegal. How do they have, like, they come over here and they're giving a lawyer, they're giving free rooms at the best hotels, and they flown first class, like they got it good, man. I wish I could fly. I've never flew first class, y'all. I have never flown first class. I'm like, when is my chance to fly first class? The illegals doing it. They like, yeah, we flying first class. What's they gonna be flying next? Spaceships? They're gonna be flying spaceships. They're gonna be in spaceships first class. They're gonna be like, I'm free. They're gonna be like, how did the men in black gonna be like, how'd you get here? He's gonna be like, I'm free. I'm a legal alien. And he'll be like, I'm free. And then he's gonna be like, what the fuck is this shit you pulling on me? He gonna talk to his boss. He's gonna be like, what the fuck is this shit you pulling on me? You got an illegal alien in the spacecraft? Well, he did say he was free. That's the get go. Keep his ass locked up then. Keep his ass locked up. Because he how how can you do this? How do they make the laws like this? It's just sad, man. This guy is a murderer. He done murdered somebody, and yet y'all are talking about some type of decat. I thought it was capping, it's catting, you know, and that's just crazy, man. When I went to Canada, y'all, to try to be a refugee, the first time I went around, I decided to stay in the United States because I was like straight broke, and what if they would have kicked me out of that shelter or refugee camp? I would have been really fucked because I would have to transfer currency and find a hotel to stay at in Canada. And the second time I went around, they swear I was some type of terrorist. They was like, use Biden problem. I'm like, how you know me, dog? Like they were like, you are Biden's problem. Literally, they said that I am Biden's problem. I came over there, I showed them all my IDs. I said, can I get over there? They was like, without a passport or something, and that's just not true. You can get over there without a passport, and he lied to me. And then they walked me across the border to the United States border in customs. And it was just terrible, man. It was terrible. They give more free stuff to these daggone illegal immigrants than anybody. Like, he's like, let me kill somebody. Oh, DCAT. Somebody, I'm not saying that I want to. That's not what I'm saying. So anyway, he's probably like, after he does the dirty work, he's probably like, oh my god, I can go do DCAT and get off on this crap. That's just sad, man. That's sad. That's how bad, before we look at this, that's how bad they want and need illegal immigrants. That's just how bad they need them for the vote coming up in either 2028 or 29, 30, 31, 32 or 33, 34, 35, 36. They want to be able to have that grasp on illegal immigrants. So when voting comes and a Democrat gets into power, look at what a Democrat in power is doing already in California. He would forget about all of us just like Biden did in a split second and ignore us and put us as terrorists if he could. You know, he stays in his mansion away from in the good zone when there's bad and medium zones. He's in the very good zone where you don't get fires that happen, you don't get earthquakes that happen. It's a good zone, and only the rich and famous know about these good zones. Only the rich and famous that have, because obviously he's making way more than what he's worth yearly by governor, because he keeps ending up in the paper and people want to hear his story. Like it's just sad, man. So look at this Alex Alfredo. He's a gang member. He don't care. He shouldn't have been a gang member. Like, why do they think we supposed to grab them at the tit and take care of them because they have somebody that's going to kill them? Oh, well, you should have thought of that before you killed somebody. Like, seriously, you should have thought of that before you killed somebody. And attempted murder. Like really, get yourself together, man. What can we do? Those eggs are so good. I left them over there on the table. Like, that's your problem, dude. That's your problem. You sitting up there killing somebody. That's your own fucking problem, man. At least the black people, the black gangs, they carry their weight. They be like, real paranoid, carrying guns around because they done did dirt on other people. He's punking the fuck out talking about DCAT, DCAT. At least they carry their own weight. It's sad, man. It's very sad that this is like this, man. Like, shh. There was one guy, there's one African American guy that got beyond a three-strike sentence. He was doing robbery, he was doing murder, he was doing attempted murder, he was doing assault, and he got felony charges, and he got way past um he got way past the three-strike rule, and then he sat up there and the lawyer that was taking his that take took his case, she took her name off of the 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 lawyer roster so that she would never be on there as one of the, because you know how prosecutors and attorneys work. What it's more so the prosecutors that get their way than the public defenders. The prosecutors are always set because they work for the state and some work for the federal, so they set, they tell them a deal, and then depending on how much money you give your attorney, your attorney knows the law, they can negotiate that, and this guy, like he is, he shouldn't be, he shouldn't have did what he did, man. Who cares about whether he's scared, man, to go back? He shouldn't have never did it. He should have sat up there and obeyed the law in Mexico, not only in Mexico and showed good faith, but in um in the United States. But he came over here with charges, and they all want to get a clean slate and do dirt here while in the United States. They just like me going over to the UK. I go over to the UK and I seek refuge and they accept it. My whole slate gets clean. I get to get a car. I have credit. All of that. When they come here, you know, they get instructions. They get instructions on what to do. And they get a phone. They get everything that they need, a government phone. And some get pickup trucks, for food details, but it's just sad, how come when I went to Canada, I wasn't treated the same? 7 days prior to me going to Canada, no, a day prior to me going to Canada, I was in a hotel room, and Biden had already signed. Whoever's pulling the strings knows what they're doing. Whoever was pulling the strings behind Biden knew what they were doing, because 7 days prior to that, Biden signed an order making it harder for American citizens to seek refuge in Canada. You know, and I was just so upset. I started crying because I said, let me try. And the first time I tried, he said I will be with refugees. And I was like, no, because what if something bad happened? He said it's a big, large center. And I was like, no, let me not do that. You know, Canada is higher. I went to a shelter after that. And yeah, so I don't know, man. I don't know. It's just the charges he has is like horrendous, horrendous, man. And what are we gonna do, man? What are we gonna do when, you know, somebody gather up enough people or organize crime to try to take over the White House? You know, I don't want to speak about my opinion on the White House, but I will say that there was organized crime there. There was organized crime there, both good and bad. They didn't want to see Trump win. They just like me, for instance, if I sat up there and I wanted to run, for president or senator or governor, it would be hard. They would pull out everything. They would anally inspect me. That's why they call it a probe. They call it a probe. And I don't know, man. Like I was saying prior, he's a criminal, and we don't need criminals in our city. We don't need criminals in our state. We don't need criminals in our United States of America. We need good, abiding citizens, because you bring the bad people here, they get idle. You know, one saying I always say is to keep a man busy. In order to do your relationship and have your relationship, keep a man busy. Sit up there, go to church with them, go, have events with them or whatever. This person needed, like, is he had idle time. He had idle time while in America, and most of them have idle time to try to do some type of terroristic stuff, like make fentanyl, make all those drugs, methamphetamine, yada yada yada. And he these murderers have idle time. They're not on the same time as me and you. You all going to work. You all going to work, doing your job, and you know, coming home and taking care of the family. They either are doing that partially and living double lives, because some of them live double lives. They come home, take care of their family, and then they work for the cartels, and that, like I said, if a white man, black man, or Hispanic American broke the law, they would have to be taken away from their family. They would be taken away from their family. They would be taken away from their family. So there's no excuse for illegal immigrants to be taken away from their family. They knew what it was coming here. They got the short end of the stick, yes, with Biden bringing them all here. And now that they're here, they don't want to go back. But you're here illegally. You're here illegally. You're doing the wrong thing by being here. You're killing, you're raping, you're torturing, you're selling drugs, you're doing gang member activities. Gang member activities is nothing but a bunch of drugs being made, organized crime, such as not only drugs, but people being watched over, people being watched to see who is their enemy, some really, you know weird shit. They get into these gangs, they get the drugs going, they get the violence where they're taking out everybody that's an enemy or a threat to them. But they couldn't have did it without the Democrat government. They couldn't have did it without the Democrat government. They knew that they would be protected by these illegals when they came over. That was the even exchange, to be protected, all Democrats. And just like marshals watch us, because there are marshals that watch us. No, I won't say that. I won't say that. Christy Nome was saying on the Focus, um, she was saying how, I don't know if they're still doing it or not, but marshals used to watch American citizens. That's what she said. Marshals. Marshals don't live a good life. They spend their every day watching American citizens, either two of them or one of them. Everyone. Everyone. I can't find that footage for nothing. I left it alone. It's like it was meant for me to see. But everyone watching everyone, and they are not to engage in contact with them. They are just observing them and studying them, and studying them, going to work every day, coming home, just like Area 51, how Area 51 um traffic is low. Probably not no more, but in the 80s, late 80s, traffic was low on Wednesdays and Thursdays. They observe what the hell they're doing. And yeah, it goes deep, man. It goes deep. And a lot of people may not believe me, but I'm telling the truth. I'm telling the truth. you know, and you know, these people really don't belong here. We already got things going on in America with pedophiles and rapists and people that torture and all of that. We don't need more stuff going on. We don't need that. We don't need it. And we can't keep track unless we divide and conquer. We can't keep track of everyone here unless they got a specific invention. And if you don't, here go the invention. Here goes nothing. If they have an invention where it's not only the cameras out on the street, but a certain powerful detector, because we're not infinite. You cannot count a number that's infinite. We are 360 or more million people, which means that you can count those numbers. You can count those numbers and you can tell who's in, like you get a certain machine that can account for everyone in the United States. Everyone, whether well, not underground, like underneath tunnels, like New York City and stuff, like they be talking about that, but they can account for everybody, a machine, a computerized system that can account for everybody in this country. And then they start decisively through calculus, splitting them up into what race they are, like a census, a camera census. So, if they don't have that type of, device where they can account for everybody and then they go by race, they go by gender, um, and you go by the statistics of how many people, because there were cameras at the border, how many people actually came over, but those cameras aren't always sufficient. So it would be some type of camera that can calculate how many people is here and how many of them is illegal. I don't know how they will find out how many of them is illegal, but then, because I know immigrants, they sleep with each other, like as far as five to a group. They if they have a two-bedroom apartment, it's like five of them in the apartment. So, and then the white watch game, you watch them too. But I believe there is a system out here that possibly has that type of technology where it can tell. Now, how it's spread out, I don't know. I don't know how it's spread out to figuring out who is here illegally and not illegal. Um, because it's hard to catch that and pick up on that unless you are getting information from people, unless you are seeing where the criminals are. They're going to where criminals are, which is the courthouse, the police stations, Home Depot, and everywhere. They're going there, tracking them down, and then, they, because they have to come out, and yeah, it's some way they split up that system. Sorry, it's it's some way they split up that system from how many people they know is in the United States to how many people are illegals. Maybe be due to Social Security. I don't know. I don't know how they do it. Um, but it was a lot of scamming going on with the system, and Doge had to step in, and yeah, it's just sad. They give them a certain a number, a phone, you know, um, they know that if they take up for the cartels, that the cartels will take up for them. And this has been long in the making with cartel members scourging mines, looking for, uh, I believe it's gold or coal or diamonds or gold, looking for that so that they can have enough money. They do it all the time, all around clock in Mexico. And then they sit up there and they're paying to get into our country. Whoever is ahead of this whole organization, who is ahead of this whole organization is the one that's paying um certain states, and was I'm not saying that they're paying the government, but they did say on this documentary that the money that they get from the proceedings of the mines that they go off harvesting for gold or silver or diamonds, the that the mines that they give it to the government, and politicians work with other politicians, and it's obvious that something is going on where it has a hold on, and they don't even like us, but it has a hold on the Democrat power government. They must get along in some ways, you know and so I don't know, but I know that they have a system where they can tell how many people is in the United States. And then they calculate that probably with the system that I don't even know if they had it prior, but it's hard to explain. The system can track how many people is in the United States now, and then they have statistics of how many people is registered. That's what it is. They have statistics on how many people is registered, like through stuff like through their socials and all of that. And yeah, yeah, it's just crazy. We're going to continue to watch this. Every time I go by the wig shop, every time I go by the wig shop, I feel threatened by my own kind because they're some of them women that walk in there, there be pictures of women who stole wigs. I'm like, is it really that serious to steal a wig? But what makes me mad is how women always end up behind me like they're trying to look at my pen. It's like they walk around the store and then as soon as I have to pay, they pull up behind me like they're trying to look at my pen. And I'll be like, what the hell are y'all doing, man? That's why I don't want to buy offline because those wigs be having like smells to them and they come all the way from China and sometimes Taiwan, sometimes Japan, but mostly China. And yeah, they always behind me. One lady had her camera out like she was trying to film me, put in my, and if they find out what my password is, what they gonna do? They're gonna sit up there and try to rob me, and that's why I don't like going to those shops no more. I have to basically go all the way out to Tacoma so I won't have it because it's not that way in Tacoma. This is a big wig shop. Like they don't do that type stuff in Tacoma because they really be watching and it be cameras everywhere, man. And now there's robberies. Like people be standing behind you and you don't know what their intentions are. you know um one white man he got his he got his watch, his Rolex watch stolen, robbed, was robbery. It was a good neighborhood and he still got robbed. They seen which way the culprits headed out. And there were other instances where one lady, she got her house broken into twice and it was on the news, but not to mention those houses that don't get on the news and be on the news to be on the news. Like there's places that's on the news and there's places that get robbed that don't be on the news. Only high-end profiles be on the news, like, and unless you speak to the right people. But yeah, like I'm still wondering how they keep track of us. So yeah, so let's finish watching this. And that's why we've been blessed. We don't know how blessed we are. Sometimes we get slapped with a social security, a ID card, and a passport, and we just don't even care. We go about the day like it is a privilege to be here. It is a privilege to be here. You know, like what they are talking about taking out Iran with, like think about it. Iran should not have a secret, a nuclear weapon. Iran should not have a nuclear weapon. And the after they sit up there and take out, after they sit up there and take out, if they were, if in another dimension, I'll put it to you like this, in another dimension, they have enough power and they're getting funded by the China and the Russia, just theoretically speaking, to take out America and Israel, and then take out the rest of, make the country, the whole world, a dictatorship by one president and one president only, where we are going to be speaking different languages, which we already do, but it was going to be one primary language that's not going to be English. And you know how hard that is to build in Babel, to sit up there, and if Iran won, we would be speaking Iran, and then they would go to different other countries. They would pump them up to go to different other countries and dictatorship that country until they have all the countries, and then they're going to take out Iran, and then it's going to be Russia and China, and that, I don't know if they're going to fight against that, but they're probably going to get half the world and half the world, you know, or somebody is going to begin to fight again. But thank God for the United States that we have all these things. We think outside the box. And that's why I believe I belong as a part of the government, however it shall happen, a part of the government. I want to I am a part of it in a way, but I want to be deeper in a part. I mean, I've met Marty Kaiser. Marty Kaiser made uh instruments such as recorders for overseas. I don't know exactly where. I think I want to say the Soviet, but they use those devices to be able to listen through walls and to be able to listen to conversations with a tiny little receiver that you won't be able to tell that is in your house. That's why he used to always tell me to use my smartphone to look for different signals. And he's the one they made Enemy of the State about. That was my neighbor. He made about both the white character and the black, Gene Hackman, I think, and Will Smith, RIP Gene. And yeah, so he gave me something and I just ran with it. Like he was a wonderful dude. He was really older, so I don't know if he passed away or expired. I hope not. But he got into it with the FBI. He got into it with the FBI at that time, and they canceled his program that he had working for the CIA, FBI, and police, and they put somebody else in action. They put somebody else in action, and it was a new contract with newer, more better, I guess, devices than his devices that he made. Um, the FBI, I believe, sued him. I believe they sued him, and he wrote a couple of large people and received some answers back from them. And like I said, I believe I belong with the government so that I can give my insight. I think a lot of people belong in the government. I think it's not just me. I think it's every veteran have something to offer. We're not just going to sit and waste our days away with no action. It's like the movie The Game. Y'all remember that movie with Michael Douglas, The Game, how his brother spent all that money, and the only people that have that money these days is higher up Democrats with a lot of money to burn. But now they're crowning up. But anyway, The Game, where he paid all that money to have his brother go do a game. Well, when you are in the military and you're a veteran, they're spitting out money for you, and you think you're not going to go do something. You think you're not going to go do something. Think again. You have so many ways that you can go through something, you know, um, either by, we have people that are sick off of toxins. You have people with mental health issues. You have people with physical impairment. And, you know, we did it for our country. And if I had to do it again, I would in a heartbeat. You know, everybody deserves a chance to fight for their country. And I feel like I want to make sure that I work with the government because I feel like, they are a wonderful government. Like under Trump's term, it's a wonderful government. It's a really wonderful government. And a lot of people are mad because he's able to bypass anything right now with the court hearings that are coming up, even with Harvard, the case number. He was sending me that or sending it to everybody's phone. you know um I appreciate the messages that I get, of him informing what's to come for the Republicans. And I want to be in history. I want to be in history too, doing something that motivates me to want to get up and do the right things every day. I'm not perfect. I'm not perfect whatsoever. If I was perfect, you know, Jesus would be perfect, but Jesus sent to everybody sin. It just depends on how much of a drifter we are when we do sin, you know, and I feel like I try to talk to God every day, and I notice that the Republicans are Christian people, and yeah, I definitely want to be of assistance, especially being a veteran, do something that I didn't get to do in my career of my military career. You know, I I am so thankful that the Army Review Board gave me a chance. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm so thankful. you know they see it in me, and maybe they know what the future holds and we just don't know it. Maybe they know what the future holds, and they know that I was going to have a good future. I wasn't going to be perfect, but I was going to try to make a better future for myself. And maybe they can see that with the magic 8 ball and stuff that we don't get to see, because not everybody gets their discharge reverse. Not everybody get their discharge reverse, and I didn't have the best spelling back in the day. I just didn't care about how I wrote, and I still tried to write to the best of my ability, and they took every letter, everywhere. They had to have taken every letter, every sentence that I wrote, and internalized it and understood exactly what I was saying when I said why I feel like I deserve a second chance. They took every letter, every word, and I just I appreciate them for that. And now it's my turn to do my job. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be hard, but now it's time for me to do my job, which is to continue to talk and advocate for the MAGA cause, the MAGA support, and the MAGA approval. I want to be one of those people that advocate for Donald J. Trump, because I feel like everything he's doing for the world. It would have been a disaster, like I say, over and over and over. However many wordings I can reverse and re-put in different sentences, but Iraq, Iran should not have a weapon. And he we know, we are, some of us are very slow, not slow in a bad way, but they refuse. You know how you have an approval rating of, let's say, 92%, denial of like 8%, and other, no, wait, 5%, and other 3%. I don't understand why there should be a other where people aren't even watching TV. Those people aren't watching TV. They don't care about politics. They don't even want to get into it and learn, because their mind is not wired. Their mind is not wired to want to receive those that education on your history. You just a drifter. You just going by, as the days go by, and you're not contributing to nothing. And your biggest, fear is your biggest fear is not political, but it's losing money. You know, when you don't think like that, you think another way. You know, they have it all down to a science with who is the other, who is the approval rate, and who is the disapproving. They have it down to a science of maybe why they're not voting like they should be. Because people that watch TV, they get emotional. That's why it's important to really watch them. It makes me so mad when I'm watching the TV and I see people like Nancy Pelosi or Chuck Schumer trying to down Trump, and it gives me it makes me angry. It doesn't make me want to do any harm, but it just makes me want to be on the ball game to continue down this debate and this me advocating for Donald Trump. You know, I don't like hearing it because I'm like, you know, why is everything on him? Why is everything on him? Like, what is the reason why people hate him so much? It could be all in your phone, you guys. You know, you never know. It could be something where like for instance, I read somewhere that phones carry um radio frequency, no, radioactive waves, which means that it affects the amygdala. I hope I'm saying that right, doctors, which means that it affects your mood. It affects your mood, which means that you know, phones can cause people to act a certain way. I just don't understand why so many people hate him, you know, and I don't even believe Elon Musk hated him. I don't know what to think. You know, to me, it could have all been one setup to see how many Democrats would kiss face with Elon Musk, you know, to make him look like, you know, hey, look, you know, we love you now, Elon. Welcome to the family, you know. But I truly, I'm gonna stop there. I'm gonna stop there. Hmm. Just imagine that building, the White House, man. How they built it. This, you know, it wasn't quite like this in the, you know, late 18 or mid 18, no, 1700s. Sorry, 1700s. It was different, you know, and it just has so many windows, and that's my hometown, y'all. You know, Washington D.C. is my hometown, and I sometimes I miss it, you know, the diversity, the fun you can have, because I had fun, but I won't be satisfied until, you know, these illegals are off the street, because they're walking around in DC and having gangs and all of that. You know, there was absolutely no gangs or no protests really in DC. How did he manage to keep the streets clean of DC for the 250th Army regime? That shows that these people are paid, possibly, allegedly. I'm not saying that they are, but some of them are paid to do this to people. You know, make it seem like Republicans are angry. Maybe we get angrier more because we're always being told uh lies and making it seem like what you're telling me is the truth. You're gaslighting me. And the people that tell the truth are more emotional than people that don't tell the truth. You know, they get mad, you know, both sides get mad. But to be honest, the side that don't get mad because a lie has been told is because he's already telling a lie. And he loves and he loathes in it like some liquid gold or something. And yeah, yeah, but it's such a beautiful look at the structure of it. It has triangles, it has squares, it has, you know, just circles, each ring of the top part, you know, with snipers on the top of the Capitol, you know. It's a privilege to work there. And sometimes people take advantage of their privileges. They just want attention time, TV time. And like I said, those radioactive phones. I don't mean to skip the subject, but the radio is something I need to say about that. The radioactive phones, like I said, they make you angry, and this is a fact. This is a fact. You know, so be careful, man, when you feel like some type of way, like doing something out of the ordinary, or you have Trump derangement syndrome where you're yelling off the top of your lungs or treating other people different because you resist and refuse to work in a bipartisan way, then just remember that, you know, about the phones. Because there's private sectors. I don't know if I can prove the like allegedly there could be sectors experimenting on this type stuff. Like, and what I mean by that is experimenting on testing the phones, because it is a fact that people got back $20 to $50 because Apple was spying on its people, and Apple denied it doing using the phone, and Apple denied it. But that was just the head of Apple. He don't really know what's going on in his factories in China. He don't know what, you know, the COO of the CEO is doing, you know, and what kind of stuff they're trying to do to our America in the future, possibly, you know. So I just love this picture though. You see, you see how the politicians take up for Iran, because they are the ones that caused the war. They 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 caused the war to possibly happen because that now they want to be involved with the war, just like they wanted to be involved with the illegal immigrants coming over. They set this whole thing in place. So I don't know. I don't know, but it just sounds fishy. He's saying now Congress got to be a part of the say so, and the Iran Israel fight. Yeah, and that's what he mean. It may hinder what he has to do for the future because then they're going to be stopping and slowing things down, and that's why he didn't want to do it in the first place. Like I have acne problems, y'all. This daggone artificial intelligence is on point. They talking about the rice bee microfoliant. I have acne, and I'm like, how you know I got acne? I haven't looked up crap about acne. I just talk about acne, which means you're spying on my phones, AI. You're spying on my phones. See, why isn't any of the other countries coming in and talking about this? Like, why they ain't helping Israel? Even though Israel is a solid, except for the stuff that we got that we can help, overtake the war with Iran, you know, they got they don't have much, but none of the other countries is coming in saying, well, I'll take over. They just want to see how it plays out. Like, these are world leaders. Why aren't they doing anything about this? World leaders can come in. You got NATO, you got other foreign affairs places, and nobody is doing nothing. Just like they did a loan on the money that Ukraine was getting. They did a loan. They sat up there and did a loan on the money that Ukraine was getting, which means that Ukraine have to pay it back. But we were giving them money. We were giving them money. We were literally giving them money without any, like, they could be pocketing some of this, plausibly or possibly. We don't know if they're pocketing. We have no way to find out. Once that money get exchanged into, the Ukraine status, or currency, the Ukraine currency, we have no real ways on finding out what's going on. um I've said this before and I'll say it again. you know um I feel like Biden was, like, closer, way closer than I believed, to close to Zelensky. He was like super, super close with him. Like, they needed him for something. Because they damn sure weren't doing the rare earth minerals deal. So what did they need Ukraine for, you know, so bad? They were pushing out all electric vehicles. They wanted all electric vehicles by like 2032 or 3. And this, like, what did what did we need them for as a new world leader to start? I don't know, because we were even helping them with people. We were sending equipment over there too. Like, what did we need? Was there a blackmail going on? Was he taking care of his son? What was going on? Like, what was going on? Like, if I was, if that was my daughter, if that was my daughter, like, let's say the president of Ukraine is a woman, and I'm all old now. I used to go to Ukraine on a regular when I was senator. You know, if that was my daughter, I would literally be taken, like, I'd be taken up for her. I would be buying her anything. Like, what else did they have to gain from going over there? There was nothing. It was no peace. They weren't gaining peace. They were fun. They working together to fund a war. They're working together to fund a fake war. And you know, Russia, I can't say nothing about them. I don't know. They're working, they're both back. They're playing the game like chess. It's like they're machines. They're playing the game like it's chess. And that's why Russia and China work together, because you need two players in the game. Two players in the game, and only thing I can think of is that I have to reread what Russian Putin said, to start the war. Because I remember him being on Tucker Carlson, and he said, he was like, this land belonged to him. And instead of, I think what happened, you know, I'll say it in my terms. Like, if it was me and I was doing messed up stuff, if it was me and I was doing messed up stuff, I would be funding a war. If it was me, though, I would be funding a war to fund it, to go ahead and fund it and get me money, and they take money. They get rid of stuff, and they I don't know. It's just weird to me. It's very weird, and now he was asking for more money, and now he's stuck. It's like he's in limbo now, because he's in limbo now because Trump won't, he came to the White House and disrespected like it was a piece of shit, and that was very disrespectful. He's like, I'm not playing cards, and I think that was just so wrong on so many levels, man. Trump was like, he knew exactly what he was saying when he said, I'm not playing cards. You know, that it's something like Putin. He wanted his land in due time. Supposedly, the land was supposed to be his. I guess that's why he said that he went to war in the first place. Like I said on Tucker Carlson, and they wanted to continue to fund a war. It was supposed to be some type of giving up of land, and it's like they wanted war. they wanted war so money can be sent to them, you know, which money was being sent to them by Biden. So that's a fact. And we all love Ukraine, those flags that were being put up and everything. And it was just, people used to say rumors was going around that they had rooms funding and smuggling in the UK cash. They say there were rooms where people, all they would do is count money. You know, that's what I heard them say. I don't know that to be verifiable, but yeah, um, that's just, it's just sad, man. It's sad. I believe that that's why this war happened, this fake proxy war. You know, it's like I guess Putin gets paid too because he get to rebuild all of his stuff that goes down in, you know, whenever it is. People are dying, you know, genocide is happening. And only the ones that stick with Zelensky, and that's, I'll end it there. I won't say the rest. I remember I used that. I'll admit I used that on myself. I said, what in the hell is going on? But as the ranks get higher, you guys, as the ranks get higher, you know, that is Foreign Affairs Committee Representative Brad Snyder. But as the ranks get higher, they're gradually, they always lightly salt the corn. They basically, they want they basically are saying that they want to be a part of what Trump do with the war. So when he sits up there and he isn't like, doesn't want them to be a part of it because like the guy said, he said that um the war, sorry about this, you guys. I'm getting nervous. Hold on. Like he said before, you know, the Donald Trump, it was something I had to say. Let me stop. So he sat up there and he is saying no weapons. So the there was one guy that sat up there, and he he was saying something. I can't remember what he was saying. Oh man, it blew my mind. To be honest, as the ranks get higher, like I was saying before, I had to calm down. As the ranks get higher, so does the way that they want to keep the war. And they want to sit up there and continue the war because if they continue it, they they everything changes. It starts from physically attacking a building, like the Oklahoma City bombing. They attacked the building, and then the building built a new building to make morals for that building. But I'll leave it there. Um, I feel like Brad Snyder is doing a good job by working with us, and like I said, the higher it is, the more people change their mind and want to slow down Trump. It's like they're like, hey, look, this is a guy who's making positive change. I want to be in history. Let me not care about what, like, let me resist about what Trump does. Let me resist about what Trump does. And I feel the same way they feel. I always felt the same way they felt. I feel like they cannot have a nuclear weapon. Our world will be shattered. It will be another Mars. And we like, and God, I don't mean to bring God into this, but God is always in it. God jumps, she, it, or they are always there, watching us, and I have some funny moments about me. I like I sit up there and I, look at the sky, and I say, "Wow, God, you made it beautiful. What made you bring the trees?" We got science that says the trees are green because of oxygen or something. The way the chemicals in the leaves burst out and connect with the oxygen that's turning them, because they're breathing in the air and putting out more air. Um, I really look at the sky and just say it's beautiful, man. But I had to say that because God never gets no credit no more. God doesn't get no credit no more. It's like he had a pen and a piece of paper, just writing, writing the future, how you want the future for the next 100 years until something happens in those centuries. Though that 1 century, sorry, that 1 century. You know, um, One day it's going to be a millennia. We're going to still be talking about this stuff in millennias, in 1,000 years. This is going to be a big history book, and I feel like people are going to try to rewrite history in the middle of 500 years from now, rewrite history, and we'll have the power to do it because they can erase everything. By the time artificial intelligence get here, they can erase everything that has, like, for instance, a Trump word. I mean, he's so powerful, they're gonna they can do it that way. Like, and if it was me, and I was somewhere, it would be like genocide to try to do some type of harm to um the people, the good people, because they want to make a new race or something. You never know. You never know. But it can I say that I'm a physics type of woman. I feel like there's both good and bad. What's created and good always have a negative side to it. So you both an angel and demon, especially being spewed all this knowledge stuff um, that we take in every day from Hollywood. And we've grown to love it. We've grown to love it because that's all we knew until Trump came in. It's like he's the chosen one to come help us, you know. He's been talking about this for years on TV. I watched some of his old stuff, you know. So that's how I feel about that. That's a SAT question for all of us. All of these cities surrounding Iran, I don't, I know that Fordal and no, Nantaz is central. It's central in the mountains. Central. See, that's why I keep pushing pause, because that. Uh, it's starting to spread like wildfire. Um, that at least we're all speaking the same language, that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. Some Democrats are speaking it, and that's good. They got the different people on the different fort, like Democrats, doing like small things like wanting, hey, look, you know, this we need no bombs, no nuclear bombs. The second part is trying to, sit up there and have Donald Trump slow down and have Congress get with the process of working with Trump to on this war. It's like, I don't know, the Democrats don't know what's going on. You know, I don't know, man. It's the way they're acting, like they're stalling or something. They're stalling on a lot of things, you know. They're stalling on a lot of things. I feel like their allies that they made these deals with, you know, let's say I made a deal, you know, these allies that I have deals with are running thin, because if they do have deals with these allies that are funding this war, whoever is funding the war, you know, then that is going to not be a good thing, you know. And then they may have to side. That's why they're mad at us, because then they're gonna have to side with the good people in order to look like, you know, hey, look, you know, this is, you know, we're working with you on this side, you know. And that's why they want revenge. They you know, when both good and bad people go against one person, you know, Trump is going against Iran because Iran is should not have a nuclear weapon. You know, when you're going against Iran and you're going against Ukraine, those are two different things, man. But yeah, he keeps saying Iran should not have a nuclear weapon. Iran is they said something about how Iran was supposed to have some type of nuclear weapon done within a couple of weeks, probably several weeks, because they didn't have the actual equipment to put together the actual device. So that was what was holding up. And now somebody, whoever was funding it, stopped funding it, I believe. Whoever was funding it stopped funding it, put a halt on funding. It's like a hoodwink thing, where hoodwink, she's watching him build the evil layer and stuff, and they're down there. I wonder what else they been able to have down there other than nuclear weapons. I wonder what else. What else is down there? You know, scientist wise, you know, it's like they're ready for something for the future. And I truly feel like Iran, just like they had those beepers that went off and was nails embedded into people's skin. Um, I don't know. Iran is messed up, man. They're probably building all types of stuff down there. I just want to know who stopped the funding. I think it was supposed to orchestrate that he was supposed to get a nuclear weapon under a Democrat, I believe. If a Democrat was still here, they would have got, and then they would have, um, because whoever was funding it knows that they'll probably get caught if they keep funding it because China and Russia name keep getting put up, put up, put up, put up. So let's finish this. Okay. So now Iran, Israel is throwing bombs at, weapons at Iran. And we're wondering, I guess the Americans already know, well, the Americans don't already know. Trump knows exactly where this person is because he must have some type of military base that's hidden, probably in the mountains or something. I don't know, but he got like a one, like probably 3 to 4 more military bases that are secret. If this was me, the military bases would be um deep within like the mountains, but also there's a safe place like at the halfway point so he could be closer to the actual mountains. So he's near a mountain place, I believe. I would be somewhere like not that far from the mountains to get access to the mountains. That's that's how I feel. So yeah, yeah. Um he he is a bad person. He's a very bad person. I'm sorry it's taking me so long. I'm trying to think about this person that is keeping Iran hostage to take over. He's like the gangs, the bad gangs of a country. He's like the bad gangs of a country can ever have because he actually, if you know exactly what he's done, you would see that what he's done was very wrong. He's keeping people hostage and doing all types of bad things, trying to, you know, um, do what he's doing in Israel. Like they're the gang. That's why, because they're the gangs that got that their whole country was built on gangs, just gangs. One after the other, one after the other. You know, somebody got a new leader. They keep coming up with new leaders and all of that. And it's terrible, man. It's terrible. It's terrible. They keep coming up with new leaders, and when is it going to stop? When is that leader going to change up and just have peace? That's never going to happen because they're gang members. They're gangs. They want to take over and keep the world for hostage. They want to have the world hostage. They know what they do is evil. They know what they do is real evil. You know why? I was just about to say because they're running out of ammunition. They have to make they're doing certain stuff on certain days. So like they're either getting the equipment or trying to get equipment during that time, and then they or they making the equipment that they have, you know, and they're calculating, you know, how many attacks can they fire out a day with making maximum damage to Israel. Those days that they're either making the equipment or if they're not making the equipment, then they're preserving their missiles, which this would have been an easy war if Russia would have taken over it. If Russia was to invade Iran, it would have been an easy war because I'm pretty sure he has the same thing as we have, both China and Russia, a B-2 buster or whatever it's called, you know. I know they got it, you know, only I guess the United States Army is such a great thing to be in when I was in, you know, we have everything you can imagine. And with AI now, I believe this is due to AI during the times that the B-2 Buster was built or whatever it's called. AI helped possibly create that because we probably asked it just like asking Google, you know, what would what could we need, because we have underground military bases too. So if we have underground military bases, then the bases, we would ask ourselves what kind of material would we need for the military in case somebody was housed in the mountains. I would ask that question. What kind of material would you need to take out somebody deep down under? because I guess they were spending a lot of time down underground and stuff, and they started asking themselves, well, what would it take? Somebody's feeding them secrets. I don't know who. But yeah, like they gave them that God, but that should be called God's plan. That should that Buster or whatever it's called should be called God's plan, because we're we just are correcting parts of the world, but there's more there's going to be more bad people that try to take over, but they're just like gangs. Yeah, they do what they want. They take over gangs, and they do what they want. And that's why everybody want to come over here to try to make it in United States and do illegal shit in the United States. Like, we gonna put up with that shit. You get the boot. You get the boot. No, we don't need you. We were like the really smart ones that wants to take care of America and wants to see America eco-friendly and all rich and vast and great. We don't need these people coming over here starting trying to start gangs, and you see it on the news. Harvard University, riots, you know, the Jews get treated like crap, you know. I truly feel like that is some really crazy stuff, man. They get treated like crap. They get treated just like crap, man. It's like it's like a destiny of theirs that they have to take out certain people on the throne to either get more land or become more powerful. You know, why mess with the Jews? Let's say the Jews did do something like a long time ago. Let's just say they did. I doubt if they did. But why mess with the Jews? Why mess with the Jews? Because the Jews aren't doing nothing to nobody but trying to learn, and you have that much hatred where you're hurting the Jews, holding them hostage, you know, messing with them. What did they do to deserve that? Nothing is going to change unless we change it. And that's why the art of a deal, a great man who is changing that stuff. You know, I like I was saying before, they were thinking about they either don't have the weapon capacity, or somebody is funding them, secretly giving them weapons to, reeing up between what was going on between the 6th 17th in the morning, lower, and then you go higher, and then you go lower. Like, what was happening? Why did you do? Oh, in the morning and at night you throw the most weapons during the. Why would you throw that? That is so stupid. Why would you throw the weapons in the afternoon, the majority? Oh, because you can't really see like that, or what? Like, you were throwing more weapons. Like, the data speaks loud. See, he said they running out. Yep, they running out. Somebody flipped on them. Somebody, whoever was funding it, flipped on them. Not fully, but flipped on them by saying, hey, look, if it was me, I would sit up there and say, hey, look, we're not funding it right now because you have to fend for yourself for what we gave you or something of that sort. Wow, is so advanced as Iran claimed to be or is trying to be, that is like a slow country. And I don't mean that in a dumb way, like because there's Iranians here, I don't have no disrespect, but they're slow. They're slow in a way where they're sitting up there and you might as well have machetes with them or swords, you know. They it's like they're advanced when it comes to trying to make a nuclear bomb, but they're not advanced with certain things, certain things are slower there, and it's crazy. This is a serious war that's about to happen. It's going to be and that's why he's I believe that they're on the do not fly list for Iran. Um we need to keep a Republican in president, not president, but we need to keep a Republican in office so that nobody can take them off the do not fly list or do not go to list, because just as the borders were open, then they can do that to Israel, and Iran. Yeah, it's just serious. They're not. They left them, man. They sat up there and they played the shit out of Iran. Like I said, man, even the world leaders have issues, like seriously, they play games. They be like, I want to be around her because she benefits me to doing this, to getting that something. They control them. They all drifters there. Look at how they live. Look at how Iran live. They're all drifters there. And like there's a lot of gangs and a lot of stealing, a lot of killing, you know. It's the way of life. It's like, it's the way of life, that how they live. And some just don't want to live like that. Some just don't want to live like that. And it's sad, why they gotta live like that. Why do they have to live like that? Because somebody wants to, is crazy enough to try to rule a country by force. You get enough people that agree with what it's like. You have a special ingredient like a perfume or something, and you rub it on them, and you're like, hey, look, I want you to follow me and help me build an army, like why did they feel the need to go where this leader that's going to retaliate on the United States go? Like, why did they feel that there was a need to do that, you know unless it was some type of persuasion, you know it was some type of persuasion. This guy is dangerous. Oh my God. So basically, these different people that sit up there and is speaking and briefing and debriefing, they are, I can't say it. I don't know what the White House says. Oh my God. So they're briefing on each day what will happen if this scenario happened? What will happen if that scenario happened? It's different scenarios that they're briefing him on, and then you have your person that sits up there and it's like, well, give the advice basically. Hold on. The person that gives the advice to Trump to tell him that if you do it this, that, and the third way, this will happen. And they're all briefing him on different past, well, not past, but future events that may occur, if if Iran make a move on the United States, what will that be and how would that look? If he doesn't do anything, because he can't do much but give Israel, no, Iranian people or whatever you call them, a call here to start doing things unpeaceful like to the United States. So there could be people already in the United States that are going to try to do something and is on standby. Because what that we learn from our mistakes. If something ever happened where, and I just call them Iranian, Iran personnel, if they sit up there and try to attack us with something so minute, let's say they try to take over something, some type of building, or something, they still, you know we'll learn from that and know what they're trying to do, and then, because they don't have that much power. Obviously, their equipment is running out. So whoever is in the United States, the only thing that they can do would be a bomb or a Molotov cocktail, Molotov cocktail. And yeah, so that means that, where is all this material? Like, how many people are being sent certain materials from these bonds, because you have to put it together, and you have to buy certain materials, you have to say your name and stuff because it's bomb like material, yeah, and they probably is going to try to do something um bad, but we got them. We got them. He said for years, that's a good thing. With the right people in office, it'll be even better. Yeah, because how many people are in Russia? How many people live in Russia? How many people live in Russia? Yeah, that to be quite honest, they only got 146 million people, but they've made their country. I'm reading that right, right? Yeah. 146 million to 300 and some odd million. They and that's what make them want more land, and the land that's rightfully supposedly due to what Russia was saying to Tucker Carlson, their land supposed to be given to Russia at the right time. Let me finish and then I'm getting off here. Dang, we doing it right on camera, yo. We doing it right on camera, yo. He's talking real stuff. He said, oh my God. He's saying that he's taking out the target. Oh my God. The target in Iran. They're talking about that right now. They're giving intel right now. How cool is that? Damn, that's like your best friend doing something for you, and your other friend is like, well, your enemy is like, if he does something for you, then to help, if you help me, if the two best friends do something to the person, or the one best friend does something to the person, and the other best friend exists with that person, you know, they're saying that they want to sit up there and do something to the both people now, because, or the bestie that assisted, because they shouldn't have messed with the or like in my case, they shouldn't have put out the sorry y'all, I need some anti-anxiety medicine sometimes. But like I was saying, the China, Russia not helping Iran, USA helping Israel, and like I said, man, they going to take out the bestie that helped. They're going to take out the bestie that helped. But they were only trying to make things good for the world. Everybody else seemed like they scared. I I I hope that we win, and I know that there are going to be people on. I know that there's going to be people that is on the ground that can assist with this too. The boots on the ground, and then the military bases that are stationed near Iran. This can be uh, a a good thing because we don't have much material on those bases. We have what we have, but we don't have nothing newer, because they could have spied and known, would have known. Um, but I think that they're going to use a missile, like a special missile, if Iran try to attack, like take out a hospital here or do something. I guess they have GPS on those bad boy missiles. You know, I I I hope that we be able to take out. I just hope we be able to take it out. This is about to go off. Hold on. But that's true. But it's like a lot of gangs there. It's like a lot of gangs. Um, yeah. See, see, like I was saying, it's not widely educated. It seemed like they slowed down, and I don't get how it comes certain. It's sort of like what I said a long time ago about different planets being like 500 years like behind us, and we help give them the materials to speed them up. Like they don't really know, what's going on, and it's poor, impoverished. Libya, I guess, is in Iran. And some of them Iranian people are watching the news, especially Fox News, and it's all overseas, it's all overseas, and they're probably tuning in to Fox News mostly, so they just got an insight on how they're going to take out the target and what kind of stuff they're going to do in retaliation if Iran retaliated against us for helping stop the nuclear bomb building of the bomb. you know we don't need that type of stuff, man. I don't need it, you don't need it, everybody don't need it, that type of stuff going on with the 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 Iran people that wants the bomb, and we don't need it. We don't need it because they're going to end up doing something to us if we don't do something to help Israel, because it start falling off like dominoes. People will start falling off like dominoes, and China and Russia only have 100 and some odd million people in his territory. He must really have a lot of power with the Kremlin, and he hasn't started doing a war. He can actually do two wars right now if he wanted to, but it's just something that's going on, I feel, I don't know what it is, but he could be trying to put us in some sort of war if he wanted to, and he probably was. If it was me, be funding. I wouldn't fund it. If it was me, I wouldn't fund. But what if it was being funded? What if it was being funded? Um, yeah, what if it was being funded? Um, and that's all I have to really say, because Iran is almost out of their weaponry, and um, I hope that they don't retaliate. I hope that they don't, because we're going to see a really bad war, and it's like that's what they kind of was picking with, to see what would happen if we would go to war. you know that's like somebody beating up somebody, and because your best friend help you, you know the person that is beat them up said you cannot intervene, which Israel is doing good, don't get me wrong, but certain parts of his thing outside, like I up above the little stopper thingies up above, they're not equipped to handle a lot of missile throwing, and so that's stopping the that's just making it hard to help people, because they get past the thing and it blows up something like a hospital. you know um I really truly hope that they don't retaliate, because I can't afford to see a bunch of casualties. I can't afford that. But we're going up against people that are losing their power every day. People that are losing their power every day. And we have to make it work. We have to make it work with what we can do, so that we can make America even strong and Israel even strong. This would be for the history books, y'all. This would be for the history book. This is going down in history that Israel had a war going on and the United States helped them, and Israel um, um, retaliated, possibly. Possibly, not saying that they are, you know, and, and and they even know what we're capable of. And so I wouldn't do everything at once because Russia may be cool with you guys in a certain aspects back and forth thing. It's both negative and positive between you and Russia because Russia is is not at war with us. Is not at war with us. And I wouldn't get, like I said, I wouldn't sit up there and get like mixed in the Iran, like Ukraine war, because of one, the disrespect, of two, you know other reasons. There's many other reasons. It That's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say. Okay. So I don't know what I'm about to do, but I'm about to probably watch more news. Um it's educational and it's history. It's educational and it's history. Um you watch the history and you be an old guy talking about, hey Sonny, talk about what it used to be. But by then, by the time we old though, by the time we old, if you think about it, we will possibly be in Web 6 where we can do things more with our computer. We can connect to the computer. you know um they probably are going to invent this type of frequency chip, which we have already. But listen, hear me out. It's something like it, but it's different, that can go and be uh, planted by first, not by choice, no, first by choice, like some type of frequency chip that could be planted, or maybe who knows, some type of plant that sort of like a microchip a little bit, and our our phones our phones are our lifeline. It makes us, we sit up there and call it different people every day, and it's like our lifeline. It's our communication, um communication number, where we're able to communicate. We can just talk to people, you know, at the swipe of the button, and I have acne. Just hear me out. I have acne, and all of a sudden on YouTube, they sat up there and showed something about acne. Now, I told somebody that I had acne. I told somebody I had acne, and I never typed it like acne stuff. I never typed it. I know what I say when I say it. I never typed it. So I was just wondering to myself, Well, how could you have gotten that unless you know, the AI can hear, can possibly hear, and we're like, it's not that we're being, I don't know, if it was me, and I was part of the cybersecurity system, and it's not even a cybersecurity system, it's the Wi-Fi, not even the Wi-Fi, it's the 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 internet, if that makes any sense. It's Wi-Fi, and then you have your browsers. Your browsers, it's something about your browsers that sit up there. I don't know, maybe it's Siri, I don't know. I use iPhones, but like I said, they had a lawsuit about, and you only got $40 for iPhone, for Apple spying on you, and then Apple denied the claims, and yeah, so let me get off of here, y'all. You know, I last thing. Have you ever wondered what the world's going to be in the next 20 years? You know, that the world's going to be in the next 20 years. Because I was thinking about microchips for let's say we did have microchips. I I don't want to talk about that. Let me call y'all back. I mean, I have to go. Bye.
Never waste my time, you all I want.